Hello everyone, my name is Cherie. In this video, I'll be sharing with you what I watched in the month of March. In honor of Women's History Month, most of the films I watched had female protagonists. But first, let's talk about the one series I watched, Only Murders in the Building, Seasons 1 and 2. In general, I tried to avoid series, but I had heard so many great things about Only Murders that I decided to give it a shot. The plot follows three neighbors who start a true crime podcast after someone is murdered in their Upper West Side apartment building. I thoroughly enjoyed this series, and I eagerly look forward to Season 3, in which Meryl Streep joins the cast. In an effort to watch a narrative film from every year, I viewed three silent shorts on YouTube: Alice in Wonderland from 1903, The Witch from 1906, and The Adventures of Dolly from 1908. While they all had their charms, it's doubtful I would revisit any of them. Akilah and the Bee from 2006 stars Keke Palmer as a student who has a talent for spelling and is encouraged to work her way up to the National Spelling Bee. Angela Bassett plays her unsupportive mother, and Lawrence Fishburne plays her supportive coach. I loved this film. One review I found on YouTube was not as charmed, calling it an after-school special. Okay, an after-school special with great acting, great directing, great editing, and a great script. Alita: Battle Angel is a 2019 cyberpunk action film based on a manga series. The title character is a cyborg who awakens in a new body with no memory. Dr. Ito, played by Christoph Waltz, works to shield her from her mysterious past. Once I got used to the big weird eyes of the motion-captured protagonist, I really enjoyed the ride. Arrival from 2016 was a rewatch. I was reading the screenplay and wanted to see how well they matched up. Turns out pretty well. Amy Adams plays a linguistics professor who is recruited by the military to determine if a group of aliens come in peace or are a threat. This has been described as cerebral sci-fi. It definitely made more sense to me on a second viewing. It's very good, but the color palette and overall story are a bit depressing, so it's not on my favorite slide at the end of this video. But I would recommend it if you've never seen it. Central Station is the English title for this 1998 road trip movie, a co-production between Brazil and France. The story is about a young boy's friendship with a jaded middle-aged woman who tries to help him find his father after his mother dies. This was nominated for Best International Feature, but the Oscar went to Life is Beautiful. Central Station would have been my pick. The script is wonderful and surprising, as is Fernanda Montenegro's performance. Highly recommend. Yes, I did it. I went to the theater and bought a ticket to see Cocaine Bear. This was dumb fun. I loved it. It takes place in the 80s, my favorite decade, and was inspired by the true story of a drug runner's plane crash, missing cocaine, and the black bear that ate it. I laughed out loud so many times, which didn't bother anyone because I was the only one in the theater. Cocaine Bear might not be to everyone's taste, but it's definitely right up my alley. This is one of the films I watched for research for my first feature, which I'm currently writing. The synopsis for 1941's The Devil and Miss Jones is: the world's richest man is upset that workers at one of his stores are trying to form a union. Going undercover, he gets a job at the store in order to root out the troublemakers, but soon finds their grievances are genuine. This was a completely forgettable film. Not bad, really, just okay. Didn't help my research at all. This movie was recommended to me by my Scottish pen pal. Edie from 2017 follows the titular character as she embarks on a climbing adventure at the age of 83. This was so charming. I loved it. Great chemistry and acting by the two main characters. If you want a feel-good film, this is it. Emily the Criminal from 2022 stars Aubrey Plaza as a woman who gets involved with credit card scams. I don't like crime films, but I watched this because it won Best First Screenplay at the Independent Spirit Awards. This was nerve-wracking to watch. Like I said, I don't like watching people committing crimes. It was all done very well, but I didn't like how it ended, and I don't think I'll ever watch it again. Hatching from 2022 was recommended by a couple of YouTubers I subscribe to. It's a creature feature co-production between Finland and Sweden. It's about a young gymnast who discovers a strange egg and nurtures it in secret. I loved this movie. It was never boring, and the mother character was one of the better antagonists I've seen in a while. I can't wait to rewatch this one. Jean Dielman of The Very Long Title is a co-production between Belgium and France and was released in 1975. It won the #1 spot on the 2022 Sight and Sound poll of the greatest films of all time. Vertigo was #2 and Citizen Kane was #3. The film examines a widowed mother's regimented schedule of cooking, cleaning, mothering, and running errands over the course of 3 days. It clocks in at 3 hours and 21 minutes. For the first 3 hours and 10 minutes, I was wondering how on earth it could have been voted #1. Then the last 11 minutes happened, and it all made sense. Still, I will never watch this film again, and my #1 is Citizen Kane. Made in Dagenham from 2010 is a union film based on real events. Back in 1968, the female workers at the Ford auto plant walked out to protest discrimination and demand equal pay. This was a great film, and I don't know why I never heard of it. All the actors were top-notch, as was the production design, directing, editing, and script. I highly recommend this movie. A Month by the Lake from 1995. I couldn't find any in focus clips online, so enjoy the poster. The lake is Lake Como in Italy, where an older woman meets a bachelor she finds very attractive, but the man has eyes for a young nanny instead. This movie wants so badly to be a Merchant Ivory production, but it falters in most areas. Screenplay, directing, cinematography. The lake looks cold and bland in this production. The acting is fine, but the two leads, Vanessa Redgrave and Edward Fox, have absolutely no chemistry together, which is bad in a romantic comedy. Uma Thurman plays the young nanny. One of my favorite rides at Universal Studios Hollywood is the Mummy roller coaster, based off the 1999 film starring Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz. For some reason, I thought I had seen this movie before, but as I was watching it, it was all new to me. The Mummy is like Raiders of the Lost Ark's little baby brother who aspires to be like his older sibling through imitation. It's about a team of archaeologists who accidentally release a curse and awaken a vengeful mummy. The film is an entertaining action-adventure popcorn flick, but it doesn't really hold a candle to Raiders. The Night House from 2020 follows a woman investigating her husband's mysterious suicide after he built a mirror image house across the lake from their own. I don't know what I was expecting from this film, but definitely not what I got. A lot of horror YouTubers loved this movie, so I thought I would too. It's well acted, and everything fits together, but it just didn't grab me to where I'd want to watch it again. The Pajama Game from 1957 is another union film, this time a musical about workers demanding a pay raise at an Iowa pajama factory. I thought it was so cute that they were asking for a 7.5-cent raise. Boy, how times have changed. That wouldn't help anyone these days. This is another film where the leads, Doris Day and John Raitt, have no chemistry with one another. Fun fact, John Raitt is musician Bonnie Raitt's father. There was one standout musical number, Hernando's Hideaway. Really fun. Other than that, I thought it was just meh. Prey from 2022 follows a young Comanche striving to prove herself as a hunter, only to come face to face with a vicious humanoid alien, also known as the Predator. Yes, this is a Predator prequel, and it's wonderful. Great action, not a lot of dialogue, the kind of film I really enjoy. The ending doesn't build and resolve quite the way the best action films do, but other than that, it's great. A Separation from 2011 is a co-production between Iran, France, and Australia. An Iranian woman files for divorce in order to leave the country with her daughter and make a better life. Unfortunately, things don't go quite as planned. This became the first Iranian film to win the Academy Award for Best International Film. It was also nominated for Best Original Screenplay, but Midnight in Paris took home the Oscar instead. I put off watching A Separation because the subject sounded boring, but wow, what a script. While it did have some Kramer versus Kramer vibes, it was also a lovely look into the Iranian culture, something I was not familiar with. The two leads are exceptional actors, and the directing was great. As with Arrival, this won't be on my favorite slide at the end because I really can't see myself watching it again, but I do recommend it. Silkwood from 1983 is based on a true story. Meryl Streep plays a union activist at a plutonium plant who suspiciously becomes contaminated. This is a great script and wonderful film, but good luck trying to find it on streaming. Evidently there are some rights issues, and the only way to watch it is to buy an expensive copy on Amazon. I'd love to add this one to my DVD collection. Both Meryl and Cher give stellar performances. Although it didn't take home any Oscars that year, it was nominated for 5, including Best Screenplay. I thought this one was also about unions, but it turned out not to be. Support the Girls from 2018 stars Regina Hall as the manager of a sports bar with curves who has a very bad day. This movie made me tense watching it because I was feeling the stress the protagonist was going through. It's kind of like how it feels to be a producer. I thought the film was very well done and would recommend it, although it just missed out on being placed on my favorites of the month list. In the 2018 movie Tao, a woman is held captive by a scientist in a futuristic smart house and hopes to escape by reasoning with the AI that controls it. Not quite an AI run-amok film, but close enough to satisfy my insatiable hunger for those types of stories. I thought everything was good, but not great. If you enjoy AI sci-fi, then give it a try. If that's not your thing, then skip it. Till Death from 2021 is another horror thriller that I didn't find as brilliant as a few horror YouTubers did. Megan Fox plays a wife celebrating her anniversary, only to awaken handcuffed to her dead husband, and things get worse from there. It's a tense thriller, but my main issue with it is that I couldn't relate to the protagonist. I didn't care about her enough as a person to care about whether she could escape her horrible predicament. White, Melody of Death is a South Korean horror film from 2011. In it, a K-pop girl group discovers a forgotten song, and a deadly curse is unleashed when they record it. The premise is much better than the film. This is another one where I had a hard time connecting with the protagonist, and the way the curse worked itself didn't really make a lot of sense. I'd say don't waste your time with this one. There are many better South Korean horrors to watch. Another one without clips, sorry. Women Behind the Camera from 2007 is a documentary that explores the challenges that camera women around the globe have experienced. This includes dangers on set, filming in war zones, and sexual harassment and discrimination. There's one story about Arnold Schwarzenegger that stood out, but other than that, it was pretty unmemorable. Women Talking from 2022 won the Oscar for Best Adapted Screenplay. Go Sarah Polley! It's based on a true story about the women of an isolated religious community who are drugged and assaulted by the men in their community. This is one of those films I'll never watch again, even though it's well done and the acting is top-notch. It was also up for Best Picture, but the Oscar went to Everything Everywhere All at Once. And the final film is the documentary Wonder Women: The Untold Story of American Superheroines from 2012. It illustrates the history of female heroines from their birth in the 1940s to their presence in today's media, or through 2012. This could use an update to include the new heroines, such as Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, ScarJo's Black Widow, Melissa Benoist's Supergirl, and Brie Larson's Captain Marvel? You can find this one on your library's streaming app. And that was it. In summary, I watched 1 series and 27 films in March of 2023. 3 of the movies were shorts and 24 were features. 25 were new to me and 2 were rewatches. 5 were non-English language films. I heart these ones the most. Thank you for joining me for my March wrap-up. April is Arab American Heritage Month, so expect some movies from the Middle East in the next video. Until then, happy viewing!